Hello everybody, Sanir, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's Sunday video, I want to talk about this special meeting report that is happening in the following weeks, specifically towards the end of October. And I want to talk about all of that in this video because it's extremely relevant to CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex program, which is of course Exa-cel, that's due to have an official decision by December 8th. And I want to take a look at it on this video. And of course, this video was sort of brought to my attention. The idea of this video was brought to my attention by this user Razor Sharp DNA, and they wrote a really nice report on X.com. I can't say Twitter anymore. X.com, and I said, you know what? Let me go over it because one, it's informative. Two, it's someone from the community, and three, I think it's extremely necessary for people on this channel to be aware of, right? Including myself, right? This is some things you have to be involved on a daily basis. And like I said, a lot of these videos are often for myself because if I need it, the chances are most other people in this community need it as well. So we're making a video on it as well. So again, shout out to Razor Sharp DNA. And just to know, this is my first video with a webcam, I think this is going to be almost a month or something, because I think my last few videos, I was in Montreal, and that was a couple of weeks ago. And last weeks I couldn't make a video because I've been on the road, guys. I was on Dallas one weekend. The last weekend I was in Winnipeg in Canada for that video. So it's interesting to see the webcam on for the first time in quite a few weeks here. But going straight into the video, guys. So AdComm, which is of course advisory committee meeting on December 31st, which is Halloween. Do you guys do Halloween still? I used to be big on Halloween until I think I was 18 years old, and I don't think I've done one single Halloween since then. So that's about over a decade now. Anyways, the FDA releases briefing documents a few days before the meeting, which provide detailed information about topics discussed. These documents are available on the FDA's website. I recommend checking the FDA's AdComm page closer to the date of meeting for more information. See screenshots. Okay, we'll take a look after. As this is the first ever CRISPR AdComm, which will set a new precedent, I expect the FDA and AdComm to inquire about general CRISPR topics in the space beyond Exa-cel, such as off-target effects. One of the main concerns for CRISPR therapies is the potential of off-target modifications. This refers to the unintended genetic changes that occurs when the CRISPR system cuts the DNA at a location other than the intended target site. Genotoxicity. These are concerns about genotoxicity, which refers to the potential for CRISPR therapies to cause damage to the genome. This could potentially lead to harmful effects such as cancer. Delivery technique. Identifying a proper delivery technique for CRISPR therapeutics is a significant challenge. Okay, immunogenicity. The immune system response to CRISPR therapies. I gotta stop saying therapeutics, but you know what? I'll just say therapeutics. It's the same thing, really. Is another area of concern. The presence of pre-existing antibodies and T-cell directed against Cas9 enzymes in large percentage of the general population is not a safety issue, but could compromise efficacy. Ethical concerns, okay, yeah, editing efficiency. Of course, we're looking at a different type of efficiencies out there. That's where data matters. Take a look at these screenshots here. On the October 21st, the committee will discuss and make recommendations on biological license application BLA from Vertex. The applicant has requested an indication for the treatment of sickle cell disease in patients 12 years and older. Okay, take a look at the other one. So this is where they're gonna make no later than 2 business days before the meeting. So before 31st October, we should be getting notes, briefing notes, as we should. And then I think the big question here, a lot of people are going to ask right away, is AdComm is scheduled December 8th. How come your article saying December 31st? And I like this answer here because that's literally the answer I was looking for as well. is December 8th is actually the FDA's official decision whether to approve or reject or even delay the program. And that is not what this is about. The AdComm is not the same thing as the PDUFA, which is on the December 8th. The AdComm on December 31st is bringing in an external expert who will vote on the approval or rejection of Exa-cel. AdComm typically includes experts in various fields such as medicine, pharmacy, toxicology, biostatistics, and so on. These experts may be clinicians, researchers, academics, and so on, who are more recommendations on the FDA on specific topics of interest for the BLA. The FDA doesn't necessarily need to agree with the AdComm vote, albeit they normally do. So what are my thoughts, right? What are my thoughts? So there's a lot of things here. So I think there's a couple of things I want to mention to the viewers, right? People have to remind themselves, what is the role of the FDA, right? The FDA role is not to make money. The FDA role is not to run a business. They don't have necessarily shareholders they want to reward money or more shares with. The FDA is a government body in the US that is really meant to protect citizens of USA, specifically of USA, and not of Canada, not of Europe, not of South America, just of USA. Now, a couple of things. First of all, they're unelected individuals. I must mention that because that means that you may or may not disagree with that latter statement, but it's a fact. They're not elected by the population. They're basically assigned by the government as they are, and they hold positions for many, many years. Something similar to the Federal Reserve in a sense, but the difference here is, of course, the FDA here has one single mission, is to protect citizens, right? Now that you understand that, it's in their best interest to hold up these types of meetings to make sure that they're getting both external and internal research when it comes to CRISPR, when it comes to looking at a program like Exa-cel. And of course, between you and me, there's a lot of information online, but you guys gotta remember, if I get information wrong and I'll get maybe a bad comment on my YouTube comment, if they get bad information, if they get information wrong, if they do something wrong, that's it for the integrity of the FDA, right? So, and you got to remember, right, the FDA is not really operating in a vacuum, although I made it sound like it, that their sole goal is to protect US citizens. The reality is Health Canada, which is, of course, the equivalent in Canada of the FDA. In Europe, you have the EMA. All these regulatory bodies, they're looking up to the FDA, right? So you can sort of imagine that the FDA is in a position where not only they have to protect their own citizens, and there are quite a lot of millions of citizens there, but also there's basically the rest of the world that's really looking up to whatever they do. So it's in their best interest to hold these types of meetings, right? So 31st October, I like that because they get to get different people externally involved in this space. Now, the only thing my few thoughts here, and again, this is just me venting it out, but I'm sure other people have the same opinion as me, is who are they bringing in as these experts, right? I understand these are people experts in medicine, in toxicology, and I mean pharmacy. I understand all of that, but there's I don't know the saying in English, but there has to be a saying that everybody has a dog in the race, right? Everybody has a dog in the race. So the point I'm getting at is, what if you bring in, let's just throw a number, 10 experts, but 4 or 5 of those experts sort of have a dog in the race to support the idea of not approving CRISPR for whatever reason, right? Between you and me, there should be no reason to reject this program, especially not with the data that we have. But humans are humans, right? When money is involved, people make bad and wrong decisions that, they'll often, deflect later on, or they'll often blame it on something that was out of their control. But who are they bringing on as experts? This is what I would pose to the FDA, right? Again, they're unelected individuals, which means that in a sense, they're sort of operating in their own will, right? It's one thing when you're actually electing people to do certain side decisions, because if they don't do those decisions, that every 4 years or whatever your country's politics regime looks like, whether you're the UK or the US, whatever, you have a opportunity to vote them out and vote a new government in. We can't do that with someone like the FDA or Health Canada in Canada. You're really stuck with that regulatory body. And between you and me, we both know that a lot of these people in the FDA are people that have been there for years and years, decades. In a sense, it's good because you have the experience, you have maturity, you have a sense of ethics, morality. You can reference to that when you have that much experience. But in another sense, it's sort of bad because you're sort of CRISPR is something that we've never seen, right? So for you to compare that with previous technologies would be a disservice because we've never seen a one-time treatment potential cure, right? We've never seen a genome editing technology like CRISPR. I mean, we've seen other type of technology like gene therapy from Bluebird. We've seen, talons. We've seen other things in this zinc fingers, whatever you want to call them. We've seen those in the past, but to say that we have this technology and now we can compare it with what we did a few years ago, a few decades ago, would be a disservice to Americans, right? It would be a disservice to the population because I think the FDA really needs to reconsider this idea that, and I'm sort of taking the negative / pessimist side already, but there's a point why I'm getting there because if December 8th we get this thing rejected or delayed, then my only comment on that point would be who did they bring to these types of committees, whose opinion matters so much that now we have to turn a blind eye on patients that could be potentially cured from sickle cell disease, as we've seen from this single program with the amazing data we've gotten for over 45 patients of sickle cell disease and another 45 from beta thalassemia, right? I think there's value to this, right? But again, if we go, I circle back all the way to the beginning of this video, the AdComm committee, this is something that you want to look out for. Again, we have notes coming out 2 days, no later than 2 days before the meeting. So let's see, by the end of October, I'll definitely make a video on this. Again, shout out to Razor Sharp DNA for making this video. It's a great informative post. Can't say tweet anymore, so that's what I'm saying post. That's what I'm saying X.com. We'll get there. We'll get there with the X.com thing. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this? Do you guys share my sentiment? Do you guys think I'm way off in the field here, or do you think there's a concern here as to what is this type of committee that they're bringing on? I mean, it's worth discussing, right? So thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, like this video if you found value, subscribe if you're not, and I will see you guys in the next video.